Hello guys, so today we are carrying on with our perspective art. So in the last lesson we had a look at drawing our vanishing point on the horizon and a road going towards it, and we're going to be carrying on with that this time. This time what we're looking at is to draw a road to the horizon using different focal points. So you're going to draw a focal point on the left and on the right, okay? So what you're going to need is you'll need a piece of paper or your sketchbook if you've got it, a pencil, ruler and a rubber, just for any mistakes that you make, and maybe some colouring pencils if you want to add some colour, that's optional. So different focal points and vanishing points. So last time we drew one in the middle, but actually we could draw a VP on the right or the left, and as you can see, so that it goes off into the distance like that, yeah? And that is what we're going to look at doing today. Okay, so we're going to have a go at a bit of self-assessment first. So have a look at your previous drawing. What do you think you can improve on? So think about, are the lines to the VP straight? Are the lines in the middle of the road getting shorter and thinner? Is the house wider at the front and thinner at the back? And do the telephone poles get smaller? Okay, so have a look at your picture basically. Are your lines straight? Are you using your ruler properly? And are the things closer to you? Are they wider at the front and thinner at the back? Okay, so have a little look and just think about, what can I improve on this week? Right, so our task today. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your piece of paper and you're going to fold it in half, or you could measure it in half. I would find folding it a bit easier so that you've got two sides. So your first half, your VP is going to be on the left of the horizon. Your second half, your VP is going to be on the right of the horizon, and that's a must. You should have it all on one page, so do two different VPs on the same horizon, and I think we'll get that because I'm going to show you how to do that. And you could have three different VPs, so the same on the same horizon, on left, middle and right. Okay, right, so get your piece of paper ready, like so, and then what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half so that you end up with a line down the middle. Now you might not be able to see that quite very well, but that gives you a line down the middle so you know exactly where the middle of the page is. And then you are going to use your ruler to draw in your horizon here. So not quite halfway, about 2/3 of the way up. And then on the left and the right, you are going to put your plot your vanishing point where your road's going to go to, okay? So give yourself a second to do that. Pause the video, plot in your VP, and then we'll go on to the next bit where we're plotting where our road is going to be. So this is the left side of my paper. So if you have a look down here, in the middle of that left side, I have marked here, that's the middle of my road, and then I measured 1 inch on either side, and that's going to be the edges of my road. So I'm not measuring straight down from here. I want it to go off to the side, okay? So that's what I've done. So do that for both sides. Find the middle of that section and then measure equally on either side to make the edges of your road. And then get your ruler and line it up with your dots here up to the VP and then your dot here up to the VP. And what you should get is something that looks like that. So that it, can you see how it's going off to that vanishing point, going off to the side? And then what you should end up with is something that looks like this. So I've added in my lines as well down the road. So can you see it gets shorter and thinner and a bit closer together the further down the road it gets on both sides, okay? So it looks really effective because they're both going off in the distance, yeah, going off to the left and going off to the right. So pause your video, have a go at getting your roads drawn in. If you had to do it again, that's what your rubber's there for, don't worry about it. Just make sure you're using that ruler properly. You've got nice, really straight lines all the way to that vanishing point. Right, so now I'm adding in my houses, okay? So the same as we did last time, a square with a triangle on the top on both sides. And I think later on I actually made this one a little bit closer to this side just to show you a different perspective. So just have a go at where you want it to be. Pause your video, draw in those houses, and then we're going to do the same as last time. We're going to draw those lines in so that we can get our perspective correct. Right, so because of the way that my house is positioned, I've got another, the last time we just had this one, and this one. I'm adding in this one as well because you can see a bit more of that. Okay, so these are your guidelines. So don't do them too hard because you're going to rub them out and you don't want there to be lots of marks there. So you're going to do that on both sides with your houses. And those guidelines just show you where you're going to put these lines here, okay? So I measured about, I think it was about 10 centimeters down, but just measure, see what looks right, and then line it up so it's parallel here and parallel here and then parallel here, okay? And once you've done that on both sides, so can you see I moved that one a little bit closer so that bit's just a tiny bit wider. It just shows you a slightly different perspective. Once you've done that, once you've drawn in your roof and your other side of the house, rub out these guidelines here because you don't need them anymore, okay? And I think, yeah, so look, so I've rubbed out my guidelines now, and now I've just got two really nicely shaped in perspective houses next to my road, okay? So what I've done here is I've just added a little bit of detail to my house. You could do that now, you could save it for later. I just thought it would be nice to add in some roof tiles, some curtains. I've even got a little plant there just to bring it to life a little bit more. So the next thing we're going to do, if you want to pause your video and add in those details now, you can do. If you want to save it for later, that's totally fine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in our telephone poles. So just like we did last time, I've got my guidelines. So again, I've stopped it here because I don't really need it to go further because I'm going to start my telephone pole from about here. I don't want it to be all the way down at the bottom of the paper. But I've got my guidelines very similar to the road so that I know that they're going to get shorter and closer together the further they go up. So as always, don't do it too hard because you're going to rub them out, okay? Right, so I've added in my telephone poles. You need to make sure that these are dead straight, okay? So parallel with the edge of the paper. So line the edge of your ruler up with the bottom of the paper so that they're going straight up. And then I just sort of guessed and just got them closer together as they went up. And then, have a look, so then I drew in the wires as well, okay? So once you've done the telephone poles, just add in your wires as well, like this, going down, and then rub out your guidelines, and then you'll end up with your really well proportioned telephone pole. They should be taller than the house because telephone poles are really, really big, and they might not measure up totally. Mine don't measure up totally the same there, that's fine. So pause the video, have a go at adding in those telephone poles. Make sure that you rub out your guidelines. If you have to go over things again, that's totally fine. And if you even have to start again, that's fine as well. That's what you've got your rubber for. You might need an extra piece of paper if you want to do that. So what I'm going to show you next is if you wanted to challenge yourself and you wanted to add a road in the middle. So here what I've done is I've added my road in the middle with my house and my telephone poles, just using the knowledge that I know from last time, and just recreating that in the middle. So you might want to do two houses on either side or just both with telephone poles. I've added in the sun in the distance because I think that looks really nice, and I've made sure that I've got lots of detail on my houses as well. You could add some clouds in the background, but can you see how effective that is and how well that shows the perspective of straight ahead of you and then off to the left and off to the right? And you just need to check, are your houses getting thinner at the back? Here, can you see that? It gets narrower because I've used that VP to help me as well. And are your telephone wires, are they getting shorter and closer together the further up you go? Okay, so And what you could do is you can add some colour. So let's have a look at these ones. You can add some colour if you want to. You could colour in the grass. You could add some trees if you wanted to. You could colour in the sky as well. That's totally up to you. But yeah, just if you feel confident, have a go at doing the road in the middle. Why not? Show off all that you've learned about perspective. You could add a few more houses going down. All you need to remember, if you're going to add houses going down, just make them smaller. So this house that I've done here is smaller than this house here because it's further away. Yeah, and I want it to look in proportion to this road. And you might want to add some trees because at the moment it looks a little bit like mine's in the desert, which is fine. But you might want to add maybe a path going to the road. You might even feel confident enough to put a car going down. That's totally up to you. So next week, what we're going to look at, or I think it's on Thursday actually, what we're going to look at is how we can add in different things. So things like a billboard and maybe trees and a bit more colour. Okay, so I look forward to seeing your pictures as always. If you've got any problems or you need any help, just email our Year 6 email and I can get back to you on that. All right, guys, bye.